Greetings. So I'm not going to stay on here long, hopefully, but I'm going to say something because it needs to be said. For all of those women and females um, out there, those feminine presence, those mother spirits, those single women, those young women that think that appeasing a narcissist or an egomaniac is going to make the situation better, it does not. By you trying to appeal to a cult leader's ego, it doesn't stop the behavior. It doesn't stop them from exploiting. If anything, they get bloated and glutted off of it and they continue. So you can't really appease to the kind nature of someone with foul behavior. Maybe it's something just in women, but we try to appeal to the kind nature of someone to get them to change their behavior. So trying to appease a narcissist, right? Someone without a conscience. This isn't the average person. There is a distinction in their thought process. Trying to appease a narcissist does not get them to stop the behavior. If anything, they start to glut and gloat and get bloated off of the very fact that you're submitting to them. So this is an important distinction. So all of the women, um, they could be mates. They could be women desiring to be mates, women desiring to be chosen, just women desiring attention, women desiring to be told, oh, wow, you have a great insight. You trying to appease a narcissist, someone with predatory behavior, doesn't make it better. It doesn't stop them from doing it to other women. It doesn't stop them from exploiting children and young girls or young boys. It doesn't stop them from the behavior. So this is something for women especially to contend to. It's like trying to appeal to a rapist or someone that's robbing you or trying to beat you up to stop when they're getting a rush out of overpowering you with outwitting you, or they're getting an ego rush from physically dominating you or violating. So trying to, perhaps in a woman's mind, to feel protected, she thinks that maybe he'll stop if I just give him what he wants, but they're still going to rape you. They're still going to hurt you. You cannot appease. You cannot appeal to the quote unquote kindness of a predator because it is a predator. This is something very important for women to discern, right? When women are trying to break in to the cult, to be the chosen one, to be the newest mate. Again, this is like the Il Nana in different forms. All women want to be made to feel special. And I'm so grateful for certain older, mature people in my life that were just simple, real people without all the rhetoric. Wise woman, my godmother said to me many years ago. This is for all you young women out of here, but this could apply to 30s and 40s, even 50s. She said, get your ego out of your yanni. She said, the same yanni that you give to these brothers, then get the same thing in the projects. So all that to say, when we want to think that we're more beautiful than the next woman, we have more degrees than the next woman, we do more raw foods than the next woman, we're slimmer than the next woman, we can cook better than the next woman. At the end of the day, whether you're considered extremely beautiful, the classic all-American Negro, whether you're considered mixed or whatever profile, if you've got longer locks or if you're just chocolate as a chocolate bar, at the end of the day, the narcissist is going to treat all the same. And the end result is the same. It's not like one is necessarily getting more access to something than another. That is another technique that is used to make one feel better than the other. So one can be propped up because they have degrees and they're a genius. The next one would be propped up for their singing ability. The next one would be propped up because she cooks better. These are all things to, number one, appease the cult member or the person that's being manipulated by stroking their ego. Or it's no different than a man that is cheating, on his partner or partners and going and complaining about his mate to the next person. right? Somebody that is dishonest, dishonorable, that breaks their own vows, if that is the type of person they are, it's not going to change for you. Somebody that doesn't take care of their children doesn't take care of their children. So, quite often, cult leaders will appeal to your insecurities and reverse it and flip it by overstroking your ego. So, again, these are some basics in psychology for especially women to understand. It applies to males too, but a slightly different angle is taken with males. If you feel like you were the type of male that male or man that wasn't chosen in terms of being the most attractive or the most muscular, you weren't chosen for the teams. If your father was present but was very, you perceive as being very cold to you, or maybe was very cold to you, not very affectionate. Um, if you were not the fastest male, the most athletic male, or if you feel very insecure, or maybe you're just at a young age and you don't know what direction you want to take as a male, because the society holds you as being a man when you can compete with the dominant males, right? So your ego basically will be stroked. One of the ways that your egos will be stroked in reverse is to give you the promise of a woman, or maybe even provide you with a woman or a mate, right? So you don't have to worry about that. And if you're made to feel better than other males outside of the cult because you have so much more than them. I want to make this simple, but just so folks can understand how your ego is being appealed to, and most likely it's very blinding. It's very blinding, and it can cause you again to overlook the character of the person that's in your ear, as somebody's puffing you up. And the appeal of the package that they're presenting is so attractive that most likely you won't realize that you've been had until it's too late, until you have impregnated someone, or similar to females, until you have been ostracized from your family. Perhaps you've left the relationships that you were already in, with your female counterpart or whatever, for the promise of more multiple mates or whatever, and you hadn't banked on the control factor, for example, coming from the females who are actually being controlled by the male. So these are some patterns. These are some things that are not going to be discussed. I don't think they're being discussed about cults, particularly Black cults. They all have similar patterns, Black and white. These are patterns of human behavior. But we are very emotional as a people. It's understandable because of the collective experiences we've had. So we have a real need and an understandable need to hold on to something that is ours, but very natural needs and desires are being exploited. So you cannot appease an egotistical, an egomaniac, or a narcissist in particular. They do not have a conscience. Anything they do can be rationalized and justified in all kinds of ways, even if it's hurtful or harmful. Even if it's at your expense, it can be at the expense of their own children. It can be at the expense of their own mates. But there's usually a divine reason that's given for it. So, as these things, these insights come to me, I'm going to share them. I don't know how long I will share on this channel because I do have things to do. I just came out of the garden. But I do think it's important to share these distinctions and subtleties. And this does allow me to share with those people that are interested in some insight and some education. Because a lot of times we'll ask why. When folks ask why, quite often, either we don't listen for the answer to why, or we don't take the time to investigate, to sincerely want to know the answer to why people do what they do, why people enter into cults, why they don't leave cults, how people can be vulnerable, how the average person is vulnerable, and what is our responsibility directly and indirectly as a community. So I just wanted to keep that short. Hopefully that is helpful. Again, I don't see any in the comments. I do need to be very protective of myself and a lot of the energy of people behind screens and people's motivations. I'm just here to share and provide another perspective and insight from my experience. I invite folks to take the time to educate themselves on their own. Don't go from just my personal real life experience, but hear from people who have been inside cults, black and white of different ages. Hear from the children and the offspring of cult members, black and white, some very prominent figures. There's an extensive list on this channel. There's a lot of information if people take the time, separate from the drama for a moment so you can educate yourself and see where some of this insight can help you in your personal decisions, in your own life, to see the patterns, and see where perhaps we can take corrective actions in our own life. As we refine our vision and become more mature with more information, we have the opportunity to make more effective choices, right, for the life that we want to see and that we want to lead, right? It's simple, but not so simple, because a lot of our choices are driven from, from memories, from childhood, from the subconscious. These are things that are manipulated by predators and manipulators who understand human psychology. So again, you're not going to appeal to the good nature of a predator for them to stop. It's astounding to watch women try to appeal to the kind nature of these predators, when the more you start going to ask them for their advice and so forth, first of all, they're not taking any advice from you. It doesn't help you get into their good graces, or anything, and more likely you will get drawn in. So we allow ourselves to be used. We really are allowing ourselves to be used, sometimes in ignorance and not being aware. But once you become aware, you have the opportunity to sit back and be quiet, marinate on the information before jumping to conclusions, making assumptions from behind a keyboard. Because trust me, there's a lot. Well, don't trust me, but I can tell you, there's a tremendous amount you can't see. There was footage that is not on these videos. Everything can't be spelled out to people. We have to start to dig and use our common sense. Everybody can't put all of their personal information out. It's a vicious environment. It's a very predatory environment on the internet. And some folks are getting off on this as entertainment. It's not for entertainment, it's for education. So you can take whatever gems and run with them, make better decisions for you, school the young people around you, vet the people around you that you're interacting with it. That's pretty much it. That's all it's here for. I know people get off on getting popcorn and snacks, watching somebody else's life, and may not even realize this is playing out in their own personal life. So you cannot, especially women, young women, you are not making it better by appeasing the nature of these narcissists. They get more bloated the more women that stroke their ego. It makes them get more amped, because you're just giving them more credibility that they're doing the right thing. If you're coming to them as the almighty king, high priest, messiah, and not really considering what the woman that's inside of the cult is going through is dangerous. But it's revealing the state of a lot of folks. So hopefully males and females, men and women, are taking a look at this behavior. And I really feel for this next generation. A couple of young people have reached out to me. So it's my responsibility to say something. I'm not a savior. I'm not a messiah. Your best hope at a savior messiah is to be responsible with your mind, who you let in, vetting everyone, your body temple, not letting anybody, no matter how good, religious, how sweet sounding their words are, anyone into your body temple or into your finances, who you have not vetted properly, and to make your safety and your emotional and mental health your main priority, to protect it. And no matter how good people sign, the average person is not qualified to be putting your decision making into their hands. It's very, very dangerous. The longer you do that, the muscle of critical thinking, if it wasn't there, if it was kind of shaky to begin with, gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And the person, I heard somebody make an analogy, almost becomes like you get Alzheimer's when it can be very brilliant, intelligent people. The longer you stay in these narcissistic relationships, or the longer you stay in the cult, it's like you will forget who you are. It's almost like you lose your memory or your ability. You second guess yourself so much. There's so much second guessing of yourself. There's so much of it becomes normal for you not to take a stand or not to have an opinion, that it's like a lobotomy. And it's almost like a type of like Alzheimer's, where you can't remember who you are, what your values are, because you give all of that up when you go into a cult. There's a lot that people are not banking on. There's a lot that we cannot spell. We don't have the time to tell you everything on the internet. Some of this people are going to have to take on their own and run with it and be super duper duper responsible, no matter how tempting it is, no matter how much somebody's painting a picture of it's going to be good, it's going to be easy and or rent free and tropical and all the stuff in the universe. Everything has to work and be responsible. That is our best ticket. Your best safety is to be responsible. It has actions attached to it. Be responsible rather than put your life or your responsibility into anybody, any person's hands, any mystery god, any rhetoric into it, no matter how good it may sound. Like, wow, that really makes sense. I caution you when it comes to putting your life and your decision making into other people's hands. If your spidey senses are going off or you're unsure, step back and take your time. Don't allow people to pressure you into sex quickly, into marrying people quickly, into giving up your passport quickly, your documents quickly, telling every single thing about your past history, because quite often you thinking the person is a father figure and they're actually auditing you. So it can be, but they could even use their own children or family members or their mates. They're not operating like the average person. At this point, the culture, popular culture, breeds narcissism, and it's not the same thing as a healthy sense of self and a healthy confidence. There's a distinction between the two. A narcissist doesn't have a conscience, and you're not going to make them be nicer by appeasing their behaviors and trying to stroke their ego and tell them that it's going to be all right. They know exactly what they're doing. That is why they are master, not the average, master cons. There are levels of master cons that can manipulate groups, ethnic groups, religious groups, and populations. They're not thinking like the average person. Okay, create a great day.